Hey everyone, welcome back to the Substack Coach community and a new episode of Cool People on Substack. Today I have the honor of interviewing AJ Pearce. She is the Sunday Times best-selling author of 4 novels set in the 1940s. The first one was Dear Mrs. Bird and the latest is Dear Miss Lake. And she sends out cheerful monthly newsletters from her Substack, Notes of Cheer by AJ Pearce. Her Substack is one of those beautiful Substacks that makes you want to pause and curl up somewhere cozy and enjoy the art and the writing that leaves you with a smile on your face. This interview will be released September 15th, and that is when this will be arriving in your inbox. I am interviewing about a week ahead or so right now, and it is a gorgeous September day. It's been a crazy summer for me, and I don't know how summer's been for you guys, but yeah, it's been busy, and I'm really happy to get back into the routine of fall and see what happens here with the Substack Coach community. Without any further ado, let's jump in to the interview here with AJ. I'm really excited to introduce her to you all. All right, welcome AJ. It's so great to have you here, and I'm really happy that you were able to join me this month. As I was saying in my introductory post, it's really an honor for me to be interviewing British authors. Like, small me would just be floored at what I'm doing because I'm a huge reader. I won the prize in second grade for reading 2,500 books. And
Wow.
yes, I've been
Wow.
a voracious reader my entire life until recently when now I'm too busy to read, which is sad. But I also need my sleep, and I'm the type of person who, if I start a novel, I will read it until it's finished, even if that's
Uh,
5 o'clock the next morning. So, um, you
well,
know,
thank you so much for having me. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't know the first thing about Substack. So thank you.
well, in spite of that, you've been doing really great on Substack, and I know we're going to talk about that a little bit later on today. But why don't we start with, can you introduce yourself and what you do and the books you write and what you're doing on Substack? I'd love to hear all about it.
Absolutely. Yes. I am a novelist of historical novels set in, well, I've written 4 so far, which are published. They're published in the UK and the US and Canada and a bunch of other countries. And it's a series of 4 books all about a young woman who is a journalist in the war. And I've been super, super lucky without a shadow of a doubt for the last, I think I've been doing this as my proper job for about 9 years now. So just finished this series, and I'm now about to start on a new book, completely different book, although another historical. And yes, Substack I'm new to. I need to say that straight away that it's when you suggested we have this chat, I did think I've only been on it since July, I think. And so this is definitely the view from a newbie, I think.
Mhm.
But I'm really enjoying it. Notes of Cheer is my Substack, and it's a monthly free to subscribe to newsletter, which is a little bit about writing, a bit about my books, about the books that I love, which is, as you can probably see behind me, I'm obviously, of course, a big reader as well. And I'm particularly keen on books written mostly by British writers in the early to mid 20th century. So I write about books that I'm discovering, and I write about vintage stuff I found, old rubbish, as my dad would call it, but we like to call it vintage, and also just cheerful stuff in general. So I used to do a newsletter through one of the sort of traditional newsletter provider platforms, whatever it's called, and I wasn't very consistent on it. But since moving to Substack, I've really sort of started to enjoy it and looking forward to writing each one. So it's early days, but so far, touch wood, great, really good fun.
Yeah, yeah, that's great. Can you tell us a little bit more about kind of the writing difference. So you usually write novels, and so how do you find it with switching from like writing novels to writing newsletters? Is this kind of like more lighthearted fun for you? Is this how you connect with your readers? Is it difficult to switch gears between the two? I'm just curious
It's
about that.
well, I before I became an author, I worked in marketing for about 30 years, so I'm really interested in communications with an audience, for the use of a better word. And a few years ago, I was reading every piece of advice I was reading for authors, no matter how established or not established they were, was newsletters are the way to go, because it's a direct way of building a community and chatting to people without being reliant on the algorithms and whatever happens on social media and through the
Right.
social media owners. And so several years ago, I was interested in doing it, and I know a couple of people in the industry said to me, "Oh, are you sure? Aren't newsletters old hats? Will it take away from your writing? Because obviously it takes forever to write novels." And I just thought, um, there's always time to write a bit more, and it's fun. It has to be fun. I think there are lots of parallels, I think, with writing a novel. The obvious difference is that a novel takes forever. It's 90,000, 100,000 words. It will take me a year to write, and research and all that stuff. Whereas um, writing a new post on Substack obviously takes no time at all in comparison. But I think there's a lot in common in that there are already more books than anyone could possibly read in a series of lifetimes. And there are already more Substacks than anyone could read on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
However, someone once said that to me at a Q&A when my first book. I was doing this event, and a gentleman put up his hand in the Q&A bit and said, "Don't you think there have been enough books written about the war?" A couple of gasps from other people because it's quite direct. And I just laughed and said, "Yes, of course, there have been tons of them. But there's always room for another view and another voice." And I think that's Substack. Theoretically, we don't need any more content. But everyone, all of us, doesn't matter what we're doing, whether we're writers already or not, we've all got something to say or something to share, and different ways of doing it. So I think voice is a really important thing on Substack. And in terms of switching from novels to writing newsletters, it has to be an extension of what and how I write. Because for me, I mean, some authors perhaps do things differently, but for me, if somebody reads my books, they're known as they're quite funny. They tend to be quite sad, but they're overall quite optimistic and uplifting. So that's why my Substack is called Notes of Cheer, because if I then did a sort of a dark and deep and controversial or political or any of those sorts of things, it would be completely valid. But as a part of my work, it wouldn't go with, and I really hate it, but with the brand. I hate to say it, but if so, and I think that has come relatively easily in that I'm quite happy writing upbeat, quite cheerful, hopefully quite entertaining stuff. So and only I don't have an editor with Substack, so I can do what I want, which is
Right, right,
great.
right.
So yeah, there are parallels to what I normally do. I do find deadlines as well, even though this is only monthly. I'm terrible with deadlines for books, and I'm terrible with deadlines for Substack. So I try to do every first Sunday in the month, but I've already missed that twice out of, I think, 4 newsletters. So I have to up my game on that.
Well, one of them was a little bit of a Substack glitchiness. I remember that, and we had to work on
And
that.
the robots went mad. That's what I'm good
Yeah,
at. I think it was me just not understanding it. That was when I was sort of
yeah. It's
quickly
funny
on the
that
email
when
team You.
Yeah, it's funny
What do
that way. You
I do?
just need to click that one button, but you didn't know the one button existed, right? So,
You don't know
um,
what you don't know.
I think it's really interesting what you were saying though about like you're creating content and it's more than that, but what you're creating is like an ecosystem for a specific audience, and that audience has found you through your books and now is finding you through Substack as well. But if you were to do a completely different Substack compared to the way your books are, to how your voice is through your books versus through your Substack, it would be a totally different ecosystem that would appeal to a totally different group of people.
Yeah,
So I really
absolutely.
like that idea of keeping, as an author, as a writer, or as a creator, keeping your voice consistent between different types of content, whether it's video or books or Substack newsletters or whatever it is. I think that's a really
Yes,
great
I
point.
think. I mean, of course, I could do something completely different, but I like what I do for my main job. And Substack, although I'm finding it great fun. It is part of my work, and I'm really keen to grow the community and grow an audience of people and reach new potential readers. I'd be lying if I said that wasn't one of the reasons I'm on there. So
For sure.
for me, I try to, whilst I write historical novels, they're quite jaunty. I suppose that sounds hideous. I write jaunty novels. It sounds really annoying, actually, but they have a positivity to them, and my job, I hope, through those books is to entertain. So that's what I'm trying to do, to as far as I can on Substack as well, and sharing stuff. And
Mhm.
the unexpected bit has been asking questions and getting fantastic answers.
Mm.
And I love how one of the big things I found is that um, there are so many people who know so much more about my interests than I do. So, looking at 20th century British authors, there's a whole world of people who are on Substack who have read way more than I have and are
Mm.
really familiar with some authors that I haven't read. And I got super lucky um, uh, with the first post, which I know we've discussed this before, but I, just because I had a blank screen before my first proper newsletter, I um, took some of the book reviews that I'd done in previous newsletters that I'd done over the years, and just did a post to say, um, oh, here are some old reviews. These are the sort of books I like. If you have other suggestions, they were all from the 1940s. If you have other suggestions, I'd love to hear them. And it the response. I mean, I had over 100 comments because people had shared it. I was very lucky that India Knight, who is a hugely popular journalist over here and who has a fantastic Substack, I must say. India Knight's home is just a joy of
Mhm.
a Substack, and she very kindly said, "Oh, AJ Pearce is on here, and this is an interesting first post about the book she likes." And because she has so many followers, tons of new people came and had a look, and that was just an absolute stroke of luck. I'm hugely grateful to her. um and it was just one of those things where I thought, I'll just, you can say it's the old writing thing, show don't tell. I could tell people about myself in the about me
Right.
section, um but showing, as you always do when you write novels, don't just tell people what happened, show them. Through that post, I think I showed the sort of stuff I'm interested in
Yeah.
properly, and the response was lovely. So now we have subscribers, and I have already a relationship where I'll write a new newsletter and say, I've just read a couple of books that you guys suggested, and I really liked them. So
Yeah.
that's something that has never happened with the boring old way of doing a newsletter. So it's
Yeah.
been fantastic.
That's really exciting. And it really shows the like collaborative and community aspect of Substack that they really do try to promote in the
Mm.
Substack community, because yes, it's a newsletter, but it can also be a lot more than just one-way communication from the seller or the author to the client, customer, reader, right? So there's so much more back and forth on Substack than with the traditional MailChimp or whatever
Yes.
is was used. So, but you said that you've been getting a lot of responses, so your community is quite active in responding to your newsletters and things, and you only send them out once a month so far, right? Ish.
So far, yes, it is every month, but
Yeah.
it may not be on the first Sunday. I have to get better at that. Yes, my hunch is I would love to do it probably fortnightly. That the letter itself takes me quite a long time to write because I'm writing reviews of books, which I always want to think properly about. I'm not a journalist, so I don't have that ability to just um, put very good copy on the page quickly.
Right.
That's such a skill, and I am an obsessive editor of everything. So it does take me a while to write a post. And at the moment, as it's a free subscription basis, I just can't justify spending, doing a weekly one because I would happily spend a day a week writing it. And I just can't do that because I've got to write a new book as that pays the mortgage.
Yeah.
Um, but in the future, it's really interesting to see what people are interested in, and I may at some point consider doing a paid for version, which would either have more of this sort of thing or um, fiction writing, but through Substack, which I know a few authors are doing. They're sort of doing the old, it's almost the Charles Dickens way of doing a
Yeah.
chapter a week in the penny weeklies as he did, and so
Yeah.
that's something that um, is sort of a possibility, perhaps one day, depending on how much I've got to do on the books.
Right, right. Maybe you could do some like little side stories for the characters that are in
Yeah,
your books. That'd be so cool.
I'd
But
love to do it. I've had with the new one just coming out. I've had quite a few messages from people saying, "Will you read it? Can we catch up with them all in 20 years' time?" Or "What's Guy doing in the 1950s?" Or "Can you take us to Monaco in Paris?" Because all these things that are threads of
right,
the books where characters have said, "Oh, do you remember when we were in Paris in 1927 or whatever?" And
right,
I've
right.
heard lots of people saying, "Oh, more," and perhaps that's something rather than trying to write a whole novel, which kind of means 2 years of your life, a year to write it and then promoting it, etc. Maybe that's a way I could do more of this world on
Right.
a on a different basis. So that's exciting, I think.
Yeah,
Not
that
yet,
would be a lot
though,
of fun.
just in case my agent ever sees this. I'm writing a proper book.
Yes. You're doing what
I
you're supposed to
promise.
do as well.
I'm doing my job too. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So I would like to cover a couple other things about Substack specifically, and I'm curious what features you really enjoy about Substack and what made you decide to move to Substack. If you could share a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, it's thanks to you in no small part because the thing that was stopping me was I was scared of how I would migrate the list that I had on the other platform. And I could just see myself either losing 1,500 email addresses or sending everybody who'd been kind enough to subscribe previously, sending them, I don't know, a draft of something because I didn't understand the system. And so that slowed me down. I had heard of Substack about a year and a half ago and started following various people or reading their posts, and I I thought maybe this could be my home. Firstly, it's free, and that's it's
Hmm.
on the other ones. I would end up trying to do a monthly one and doing maybe 3 or 4 newsletters a year. But of course, you pay depending on how many subscribers you have on a lot of
Right.
these providers. So I was spending hundreds of pounds a year um, for nothing, actually. Um, and so I thought that was something that I thought, why am I wasting my money when there's this growing, exciting area where I can get involved with that for free. Um, I love how good the newsletters look, even if you
Yes.
have absolutely no design ability. And I have no design
What?
ability.
Your pictures and everything you do are absolutely beautiful, though.
Well, thank you. But the actual, I used to take ages trying to move boxes to places and on the old newsletter and fiddling around with colours and always and it would go out and it would look all right, but it would take an age, and I was never very happy with it. And I one of the things I really like about Substack is that it's very easy to put pictures in, and it's very easy to add a button, and when it goes out to people, it looks fresh and clean and
Yeah.
professional. I really like that. I think that's a huge plus. And of course, the fact that you're not just your content is really earning its money, I think, as it were. It's doing its job, because with a newsletter, it's lovely because it goes out to lots of people. I might get one or two emails back every newsletter, which is
Mm.
lovely. But other than that, I had very little idea what people thought.
Right.
Um, and obviously very little interaction. And I really like how people, as you say, people can get involved and we all start sort of chatting to each other. And I enjoy leaving comments on other Substackers' posts, and I enjoy getting a reply from the person who's written the post. I always feel quite chuffed that
Yeah.
they've done that. I think that's lovely. Um, and it feels more of a community, and equally it's not an angry one, which obviously some social media areas are just, when I
Right.
want to read the news, I will read a news, a site with the news on it, but I like to get away from that as well. And so I like that you can collate your own world on Substack. That is, by and large, it could be about dogs, I'm looking at my dog, or gardens, or
Yeah.
old china, or whatever it is, whatever you collect. And that I think is a great place. And of course, then your content becomes this really nice website with no effort. I'll look at my homepage on Notes of Cheer and go, oh, I love this.
Yeah.
I love this. It's nothing really. I mean, yes, I choose which photos are the lead photo, but other than that, you just think, oh, God, thank you. That looks
Yeah.
quite good.
Yeah. It
And
comes
so,
together.
yeah, loads to like. It
Yeah.
looks great, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And I have I mean, Substack in general, not necessarily mine, though I am awfully fond of it. And I have a great website that I really like, and a super web designer. So I'm very happy with my other website, which has, all about my books, ajpearce.com, quick plug. But this is quite good because I can just get on and do it myself, by and large, other
Yeah.
than panic emails to you
Yeah.
when I'm like panicking. But that is why also I got in contact with you um, before I moved, because I just wanted somebody who knew what they were doing to say, okay, I will hold your hand through the process of moving on to this. And because, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I know there's lots I still don't. So I think that's been a really good move, I must say.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always little pieces, and Substack's always like changing things and adding things. So there's always new things to do on there. But
Yeah.
yeah, I really like how the community aspect of Substack has worked so nicely and quickly for you. It's really exciting. Um, so you were talking a little bit of plans that you have and things like that. What do you think about, or do you have any things that you wish Substack could do or would do better, or are you pretty happy with it so far because you're fairly new on the platform?
Yes, very. I'm really enjoying it. There are just tiny things, more as a reader than having a Substack there. The first is these are really pedantic. But the first is, when you sign up um, for as a subscriber to someone, and you have all your paid for and free options, and invariably there are several that I pay for. There are lots more that I don't. Um, there are several that if they became paid for, I would definitely sign up for that. But I don't like the way that whenever you, you go for a free subscription, it says something to the effect of, "Are you happy to continue without paying?" And the I know it's a real writer's pedantic thing, but it's kind of, it makes you feel really mean. And if I ever have a paid for Substack, I don't want people who are kind enough to subscribe to me for free to feel mean about anything, because
Yeah.
actually we can't all pay for every single Substack that we like the look of. Because yes, it is only a cup of coffee a month, but if you're subscribing to 30 of them, that is not one cup of coffee. So
Yeah.
I think Substack could reword that. And the other thing, when it says go for the free one, and you will only get occasional public posts. That's not strictly true, is it? Because it means you'll only see the whole of occasional public posts, but you
Right.
may well get tons and tons of posts that you see a paragraph, and then you can't join in the rest because you haven't got a paid for subscription.
Yeah. And
And I
that's
and
yeah, that part can be really annoying, but that's on the creator's part, in that I wish people would be a little more upfront about how much they were actually going to send you, and
yes,
whether or not they were going to send you a paragraph of every post, because I agree that can be, and it's just a click of a button to uncheck the send preview, and then you're not
yes.
annoying your free subscribers with every post.
Well, I just come out the I like, oh, good, I like this person. And I start reading, and I'm like, oh no, and then I sort of sit there and go, oh gosh, I should really subscribe. And then I'm kind of trying to be sensible, because in
Yeah.
my and I should say totally at this stage that I very much think that people should be paid for their content. In the people write for a living, and it's absolutely, I'm not for a moment saying that I think more of these should be free. Definitely not.
Hmm.
But I think as Substack gets bigger and bigger, and we're all spoilt for choice on who we subscribe to, we are going to have to, and unless there's limited money and time, we're all making decisions on who we can support financially and who we perhaps can't.
Hmm.
It's as simple as that. There are dozens of Substacks that are so interesting, and I'd love to be a paid subscriber, but you could very easily run into
Yeah.
lots and lots of subscriptions. So, but I think that's going to be really interesting in years to come, because there's so much good content that, um, how do you choose? I think
Yeah.
that's
It's
going to make it,
difficult. And I
yeah,
think a lot of people have that difficulty. I know sometimes when I get a free subscriber, I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then I look and it's like this person also reads 321 other Substacks, and you're like, "Not sure if they're actually going to read mine, but thank you for
yes,
subscribing."
absolutely. I find I do it myself. I'll see someone in notes has restacked something, and I'll read it and I think, crikey, this is really good. I really like this person, or they're funny, or I love what they're talking about, or actually I've heard of them from somewhere else. Yes, let's sign up for that. And yeah, I have signed up to absolutely loads and loads. And so and they all, I'll turn on my computer in the morning, and then I'm kind of like, whoa, right, gosh, I really do need to do some work. And so already I'm finding I'm now having my favorites, but maybe that is something that we all have to get used to. That we may have 100 subscribers, but there'll be some people who absolutely love our stuff, and there may be 10 of the 100 always read everything, and then
Right,
there may
right.
be another 50 of the 100 who occasionally dip in, and then another 40 who say, actually, I'm glad I signed up. And obviously I'm speaking about the free version now, but I just don't have time to actually enjoy all this content. It's going to be interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. As Substack grows more and people sign up more, I think I think that it's like that's exactly what will happen. As creators, we'll have kind of like our inner circle of people that are always they're our tribe, right? And then you have the
Yes,
people that have signed up because they love something you did spoke to them, right? Something touched them somehow, and so they signed up. But they don't necessarily have the time to read everything. And then as readers, we have to realize that sometimes we want to sign up because we like something specifically, and we just want you to know that we liked it, so we subscribed really. And other
yes,
times it's like, this is my person, and I'm going to follow them. Maybe I'll be paid, but I will read all their stuff because this handful of people are really important to me, whether it's because of their content or because of the person themselves. So it's kind of it's becoming an interesting little miniature world almost on Substack and
yes.
how everything works together.
Do you
So
think there'll come a time where it is so huge, there are so many people writing on there that it will almost be overwhelming and it will be really hard to be heard?
I think it's possible. I think that they're kind of seem to be planning for that with the way that they're tweaking the algorithms and the discoverability side of it to be
Right.
really topic specific so that people can find what they want and the voices can be heard within that specific ecosystem. But I do think it's possible that if they're not careful, it could become like Facebook or Instagram, where it's just there's just so much constantly going out that it's just doom scrolling instead of really in-depth reading. So I hope that they're careful and things go really well. I do think it's growing exponentially, and I think it will continue for some time. But we'll
Yes,
see.
it's exciting. I know they've just got a ton of investment as well, and um, I think it is an exciting way for writers to reach audiences and reach readers and get to know readers more, and obviously um, to make a living
Yeah.
because it's certainly not easy everywhere. And so I think it's great that there are people who it's the same with it, traditional publishing and non-traditional. You know, it's great that there are different ways that people can write what they love, put
Mhm.
it there, and be found. Overall, I think it's all really really exciting. I wish I was doing more. This is making me think, why don't I do more posts? I think perhaps I should write shorter posts but more frequently. I might but this isn't this the great thing? I could in my next newsletter say to subscribers, would you prefer half the length of this every fortnight, or is once a month more than enough to hear from me?
Right.
But then
Yeah.
you can ask people. It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
It's
sound like
really cool.
someone's nana, don't I, who's just discovered the microwave oven. Isn't it super?
That's
Oh,
funny.
does it ever so quickly? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I am. But yeah, I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So before we close the call today, is there anything that you would like to share with a new Substack user or a new writer that's considering Substack as a platform to share their writing?
Yes, I think the thing is, and this is very much the same as writing novels or any book. I really think writing what you're passionate about is the key here. I think, you know, every now and then I'll see a more businessy post, which is saying you must be useful and you must do this, you must do that, you must post every day, or and it's all terribly serious. And I just think, like with a novel, write what you love and hope there are other people out there who will like it and find your voice. Another of the things I think about Substack is if you if this had been around 15 years ago when I was before I was published, it would have been a great way to have been finding out what I liked writing and finding my voice as a writer. I did do a little blog that absolutely nobody read, and that was how I found my way into going, okay, I like this style. So I think for anybody starting out on it, do what you want to do. And this is not my advice at all, but I read somewhere, I wish I could remember who said this because I should quote them, but I read somewhere that they said, with when people comment, always reply until you have too many to be able to. And I thought that was really good. If anyone is nice enough to leave a comment, make sure that you answer them. And because I remember the early days of then Twitter, if you left a comment for someone or tweeted back or whatever, if somebody came back to you, especially if it was somebody who you didn't know but you admired, another writer or whatever, it's just so lovely when somebody bothers. And so, as I said earlier, I'm always really, really thrilled if I leave a comment on somebody else's post. And if somebody starts joining in a conversation with me, it makes my day. I think it's absolutely, I'm like, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I'm new. And so yes, please, anyone who has any advice on how I can be better at what I'm doing on Substack, how I can improve my posts, or anything more or anything that you might find of interest, please come to Notes of Cheer and leave me a message, and we can tell me how you're getting on.
Yeah,
and then we can.
Sounds good.
Go, you're new. Yes, I'm new. Are you new?
Yeah.
Where are the toilets?
That's great.
Where do I hang my jacket?
Yeah. So that's perfect. And I love that you passed on that advice about the comments. And sometimes it's so encouraging to get comments. And it's just as lovely to me when I leave a comment on someone's blog that I loved, when I log back into Substack and I see they replied. And that always makes my day as well. Can you share your links with us? I know you kind of mentioned here and there, but where can people find you if they want to read your newsletter or check out your books?
Yes, thank you. My newsletter is called Notes of Cheer by AJ Pearce here on Substack. My website is ajpearce.com, and I'm also on Instagram and Facebook as AJ Pearce Writes. And short of giving out my home address, that's where you can find me.
Yeah,
any time. But yeah, I'd love. Yeah, please come and say hi on Notes of Cheer, and tell me what your Substack is as well, so I can follow back and get involved. That would be really good.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, AJ. It's been absolutely lovely to have you here.
Thank you, Adrian, and thank you for all your help. If anyone is watching this who is thinking they need some help and isn't already signed up, do it. No, I'm sounding like a right crawler, but no, you've been fantastic. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
I hope so. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for joining us today on this episode of Cool People on Substack. AJ, as she shared, is just new to Substack, but that was such a great interview and a great story of how the collaborative nature of Substack can help even a new person to grow. As she says, it is a little bit of luck, a little bit of being maybe known in the same circles that you're posting in. For example, she is a best-selling author and is posting in literature, so other authors may know her name already and recognize her, see her posts and share them, and then she has access that way with their audience as well, or a little bit of credibility perhaps with their audience. But regardless, it's such a great inspiration to hear stories about the collaborative nature of Substack, and I encourage you to reach out to people that you feel would be a really great collaboration for you. Someone that writes on a similar topic that maybe you would like to do a live video with, or maybe someone that you would invite to do a guest post for you, or that you would offer to do a guest post for them. Most authors on Substack, unless you're trying to reach out to ones that are really big names, and I encourage you to start small and work your way up, But most authors and publication owners on Substack are really happy to get requests for guest posts, connections, and things like that. Just make sure it's legit, it's authentic, and it's not just, I'll subscribe to you if you subscribe to me. Nobody likes that kind of a request, as AJ and I were discussing. Not as AJ and I were discussing. Nobody likes that kind of request. I look forward to connecting with you again in the next episode of Cool People on Substack. Bye for now.